I'll be back.
All righty, guys. Everybody, turn your phones on down. We are live, more than likely. Everybody,
There it is.
everybody pray that the YouTube and the internet gods shine upon us tonight. So, welcome everybody. We are Prepared Patriot. We are a training company in Western North Carolina, and we specialize in several different versions of firearms training, anything from pistol, rifle, shotgun, moving into the force on force space, and our version of North Carolina's concealed carry classes. So check us out at preparedpatriotnc.com if you would like to train with us. And while you guys are here, if you're new to us, make sure you hit that subscribe button and toggle your notification bell to all. So now that we got that stuff out of the way, we are certainly very happy to have a awesome guest on tonight. We've got Sean Nealon, the tactical medic, and our version of North Carolina's concealed carry classes. So who's messing up now? Who's messing it up now?
Me this time.
Yeah.
Stupid computer.
So Sean is the tactical medic. You can find him at that moniker across the socials, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all the like. So we're extremely pleased that he is giving us a good hour of his time. And he's out west. He's about 3 hours behind us. So kind of catching us probably on the end of his very long work day. And he said he's heading out tonight to a show. He said San Bernardino, California, I assume.
Yep, lovely California.
Cool. Awesome. So nice. So we'll tune in. I'm going to tune into the YouTubes and stuff. I'll let Patrick or Jerry take it over for a second and share the link. And I'm going to go quiet for just a hot second.
All right. So in case you guys have been living under a rock, let's let Sean talk about who the tactical medic is and what your company is about there, Sean.
Well, I was originally in the firearms industry and sold that off, and we had started a medical division. At the time, we were hosting a lot of training, and the one that kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, we did a breaching class out in open mine in Nevada, and we were about 45 minutes from any kind of professional help. And so at the time I had a kid working for me who was an EMT, and I was a combat lifesaver in the Army, and another one of the kids working for me just come back from Afghanistan where he was a combat lifesaver. But we didn't have a real kit that we, when you're doing explosive breaching, everything either goes really okay or it doesn't. And so in case of a Humpty Dumpty scenario, I told the guy working for me to take a company card and go check out Galls or one of those places, and try not to spend more than $1,000, but get us some sort of a med kit that we could have for going to these the classes and matches and stuff like that. And he came back a couple days later and said he could spend $1,000 easy, but it was all just crap. It was all road flares and rubber gloves and smelling salts and stuff like that. Or it was $5,000, but you needed a doctor's sign off because it had morphine in it. And I was like, well, geez, there's got to be something else out there. And he said, well, we were selling Pelican at the time, and he said I could order one of the Pelican EMS cases and just pack it. Some of the he had worked at one of the Indian casinos, so he had knew some of the purchasing for some of the medical stuff. And that was our first kit, and it was the Pelican. I think it was a 1660, kind of a big suitcase looking thing. And I had him do me an Excel sheet with the contents and the cost. And sure enough, first event we showed up to with that thing, everybody was like, hey, where'd you get that? I was like, we made it. And they're like, well, how much? And so we started selling them. Then we came out with one that was half that size. And And then from there, at the time, the only people really doing any kind of, but that's when they didn't call them IFACs then, they're called blowout kits still. H&H and Jaeger with the VOC. The VOC was like one of the first commercially available pre-made kits that was kind of sold to the general public. And the VOC's a good kit, but it's very, very minimalist. And so we built a couple other little kits that we started packing, and that started the gun company was Cavalry Arms, and we had the kind of started a medical division called Cavalry Medical. And the Tactical Medic was actually a friend of mine's business. It was just kind of a little hobby business he was doing so he could get into industry events and stuff. But when I sold the Cavalry Arms, I just kind of took over the name because he'd had a couple decent corporate clients, and so just kind of rolled the Cavalry Medical under the Tactical Medic banner. And we still sell the VOC, which is one of the first things we were doing. And we don't do so much the big kits like we started out doing, just because the market's really not there. We more or less do those now on a case by case basis, but we have a couple big kits with stretchers and stuff in them, like the North American Rescue Walk Kit, and that sort of thing. But so right now, I mean, we basically sell our basic bleed kits, $25, and then we do basically a platoon level medical kit that's like $1,500. So
I have a question for you, Sean. Do you still have the storefront as well in Arizona? Is that correct?
Oh yeah, we have.
Yeah, so you have a full blown store with all this stuff like on display where guys can come in and check it out.
Yeah.
So if you're ever in Arizona or that area, you should definitely go in and meet Sean and hang out with him and kind of see what he's got going on in store. But you also have, if I remember correctly, a pretty giant warehouse that you do like the majority of your internet sales and stuff out of too. Is that correct?
We've got a 4,000 square foot warehouse in the back with about, I think it's about 800 square foot of storefront on the front of it. The nice thing is a lot of this stuff people don't. I mean, you can look at the different products, and until I'm a very tactile person. I like to fool around with it and pick it up and stuff like that. And that's what's nice about a brick and mortar store is you can come in here and you can look at, the cat tourniquet next to a soft T tourniquet or the TMT tourniquet and see which one is heavier or which one packs smaller or, what works better for whatever it is that you're looking to do. I know one of the SWAT medics for, I think, Glendale came in here and he was able to actually look at some of the Polis litters, and where he was thinking he was going to buy brand X, once he actually got to see it and touch it, turned out one of the other ones was a better fit for what he was looking for. So that's the nice thing about, in this age of internet sales, it is nice to still be able to go someplace and, actually, touch stuff and, give it a little bit of a go. Most of the stuff we sell, we have examples that people can play with. And we've even got one of the Lardell patient mannequins that you can test drive some of the products and, jam an airway down its throat or, whatever floats your boat.
That's fantastic, man. That's cool. Guys, I want to apologize in advance. And a lot of you that are the Prepare Patriot crew know this already, but I'm in the process of moving. So our normal studio that I film in is a mess at the moment. But I just want to apologize in advance that, there's going to be noise and stuff that's typically not there. We apologize ahead of time for that. But I knew that Sean was going to be on there tonight. There was no way I was going to miss hanging out with the Tactical Medic. So, just from our experience with the Tactical Medic and his stuff, Sean has been super awesome about getting stuff to us. I think we ordered our original med kits that we started our company with, all came from the Tactical Medic. We bought 3 identical kits for each of the instructors to use, and they have been fantastic quality.
He must have some kids in the background. So
It's
So
almost bedtime at the house. That's the problem.
gotcha.
Um,
Gotcha.
all my littles are acting a fool. So I might let one of
Yeah.
you guys take the questions for a few minutes.
Yeah, no problem, man. Yeah, so he's referring to I forget the exact model, but their med kits are, probably about 10 to 12 inches long, and they're the ones that zip on top and fold out. I know you've got a picture of it somewhere on the socials attached to a plate carrier and stuff. So pretty sweet. They've held up a good long time so far. So um, cool.
And although we have graduated to bigger med kits at this point in our careers, I find that those are still fantastic vehicle kits. I ended up putting a piece of paracord around mine so I can have it around my neck. If I had to get out of a car and deploy it quickly, I can just fold that thing open, and it's perfect size to be in the back of a seat and like tucked down in that pouch that goes behind your seats and stuff. Man, they're just phenomenal. But it's what's inside the pack is what's the most important. And I think that's the thing that's different with Sean's company. You can literally order anything from him, and they're freaking amazing. I mean, everything that you get is top notch. Equipment. You don't have to worry about the quality being crap or it being knockoff stuff that's no good. Like, it's everything that you order from him. I would say that you could pretty much go pick out exactly what you want on the website and order it and not have to worry about any of the contents. And that's hard to say for most people. A lot of kits aren't that way, but man, the Tactical Medic stuff is on point every time.
Yeah.
Well, it's important to me that I want to be upfront right now. I'm not a working medic, and I've never been a working medic. I was a squad level medic in the Army. I was voluntold to take a class and be the combat lifesaver for my platoon, for my squad, which is a really good class and goes into some frighteningly advanced stuff compared to what you're allowed to do in the civilian world as an EMT versus what CLSs do. But the thing that's important to me is kind of coming from the firearms side of it. I understand that the products that I'm selling could potentially be life or death for my customers. When I was doing firearms, when you pull that trigger, it better go off. Either because you're trying to feed your family by taking down an animal, or you're potentially, if you're in law enforcement, you're trying to stop somebody from doing something terrible, or for a self-defense situation. And so that same mindset with the medical stuff, because when we originally started it, we weren't really looking to sell medical stuff. We were looking for stuff for ourselves. And like I said, at a training class or a competition or something, anybody who's shot a lot of 3-gun or IPSC has seen somebody catch a ricochet on the range, or enough trainers out there have seen somebody shoot themselves in the ass when they're doing a holster. And we do everything we can to mitigate that so that it happens very rarely, but that's just kind of the nature of the beast. I mean, people are gonna have problems, and I mean, if people knew everything, well, they wouldn't be out there taking classes. So I mean, it's kind of how that goes. So with the medical stuff, I'm very fortunate to know people that are working in the EMS field, both in the military and in civilian world. And so every product I sell, has been vetted by people that are using this stuff. And I personally know people that have had saves with the products. And there are some products that I know I could sell a lot of, but I don't have confidence in them. We don't sell snake bite kits. I could sell, especially with the gun shows, I could sell a dozen snake bite kits every gun show, but the things don't work. I mean, other than the placebo effect. So I just don't feel good taking somebody's money for something that I know isn't going to do them any good. Also, kind of with that, medical stuff is a rabbit hole with there's no bottom to it. You could easily spend $5,000 with me and not have everything. I mean, pretty much.
We know.
Yeah.
We know.
And it's one of those things that you don't have to spend a ton of money to have something decent. And weirdly, it's like a lot of the products I sell, we didn't originally, like we have a kit, we call it the Econo kit. Dillon Precision's been selling them for 4 or 5 years, maybe longer. And it's, we just had to up the price. Originally, I think we retailed them at $15. Then we jumped it to 20. And because of all the price increases everywhere, they're currently at 25. But for $25, we sell a kit that has a Israeli pressure bandage, a roll of crinkle gauze, gloves, tape, and a tourniquet. We're currently putting the TK4s in those kits. TK4 is not my favorite tourniquet, but it's the cheapest tourniquet that I can, get, that I feel like a regular person has a fairly good chance of getting it to work right, especially if they had to put it on themselves. And but I originally made that kit not to sell, but to give away. It was one that we originally built back at Cav Arms with Cav Medical, and we gave them out at Christmas to all of our friends and family. Because you guys know how it is. In a lot of the circles, you guys are like the crazy conspiracy theorist, whatever, nephew or brother or whatever, until something goes wrong, then your phone's ringing off the hook. But but everybody
this year we haven't seen so crazy, have we?
Yeah, exactly. But so I mean, for somebody that I know isn't gonna take it seriously, I don't want to drop a ton of money. So we put together, it was like, that was the cheapest kit I could put together, give to somebody I actually knew and cared about, and not feel like I left them to die. But our next kit up, which is like $50, is basically the same kit, but it's got a cat tourniquet, same bandage, the same gauze, but the compressed one, so it's smaller. Same gloves and the same tape. But when people come in and they're like, yeah, I just want something for just in case, I can sell them 2 of the Econos for what one of our civilian trauma kits goes for, and that way they can put one in their car and one in the wife's car, the partner's car, whatever. But if someone says to me, hey, my chances of needing to put a tourniquet or a bandage on myself are a little bit higher than the average bear, like somebody who's an arborist, or they maybe are working security someplace, or something like that, or they like to work with power tools with nobody around, or that sort of thing. That I tell them, look, spend a little extra money. The cat is probably one of the best tourniquets for self-application out there. I really like the TMT and I really like the soft T, but the cat, that's the one that I think is kind of the baseline for a lot of that stuff. But and that's the thing, it's like with insurance. If your risk is maybe a little bit higher, then spend a little bit more and get the better stuff. But you don't have to drop a ton of money to have real capability. That was one of the things when I first started the company, or when I took it over, I went out and bought every first aid kit I could find. The ones from Target, Walmart, AutoZone, just everybody that sold any kind of a first aid kit, I bought them, took them all apart. And one of the things that I soon came to realize was that none of those kits had the capability to really save your life. I mean, if you ripped off a fingernail, or had a nasty splinter, or maybe cut yourself with a knife or something, they were probably okay for that. But any kind of like real bleeding, and what really was disappointing were the disaster kits with Red Cross approval on them. And they had maybe 4 or 5 individually wrapped 4x4 gauze pads, and then the same of like 2x2 gauze pads. They just did not have the ability to deal with, if you used every damn thing in the kit, they just did not have the ability to deal with a real bleeding situation. And a roll of actual Kerlex, Covidian brand, expensive hospital Kerlex is only like $5, and that's the thing. None of these kits even had that, whereas like with us, our cheapest kit has a 4.5-inch by 4.1 yard, roll of crinkle gauze, which, anybody who's been in a Stop the Bleed class, I mean, that's pretty much that's what you need if you need to deal with real bleeding. And then some sort of a pre-made pressure bandage. I mean, a lot of ambulance crews and stuff, I mean, they might just use like a 5x9 and a roll of Coban or an Ace bandage or something like that, which works just fine. But if you need to put a bandage on yourself because you laid your arm open with a fillet knife, or you screwed up trying to change out a window or something, I don't want to have to try to play MacGyver and hold a pad in place while I try to wrap an elastic around it. And it's just having that ability.
It's like anything, Sean. What I've seen across just in general, the right tool makes the job way easier. You know what I mean? So you can improvise, and there was one specific video I saw on YouTube that was it was like a wilderness improvising YouTube video, but it was this lady giving a lecture, and the one thing that came to my mind is like improv is awesome, but why don't you just promote carrying the right gear for the right instance instead of improvising stuff, you know what I mean? So that's kind of what drove me nuts.
I will definitely say the best thing you can have is the one thing I really don't sell, and that's knowledge. I mean, we have some books and stuff like that and some little reference guides and whatnot, which are great, and a lot of our kits, we put little reference guides in there, but take a class. I mean, we host the Stop the Bleed classes here, which is a national program. They're free. And the nice thing with that is if you take a Stop the Bleed class, which they're usually like hour and a half to 2 hours long, when you do take some follow-up training, you get so much more out of the training because you're asking better questions. And also it's easier on the instructor if everybody's had that basic free class, because when they show up, they're not burning up time in the class answering, basic questions. And that's the thing. It's like with the gun stuff, I think anybody who considers themselves a firearms, a gun person, they should take some sort of professional training at least once a year. I mean, I remember the first time I did a close-in gunfighting class, and the first time I did a force on force. Holy crap! I mean, I was like scared to leave the house after that. I thought I was pretty hot shit. It's like, oh, I've been to Iraq, and I shoot IPSC. I got a whatever second draw stroke, and blah blah blah. And then
and then real life happens.
Yeah, and then somebody's shooting back, and all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, I'm dog shit. This isn't good. Wait a minute, and I remember one of the combatives guys that I know, Aaron, with I think Performance Edge. He's one
Aaron Little.
Yeah, I met him through super cool guy. Very interesting.
James.
Dude. But
James.
He had said once, and it wasn't even a class, we're just some things like, if you don't think thugs and the bad guys and stuff are training, you're wrong. And he said, I know of gyms, and I think he's in Louisville or something like that, all the guys in there, they've all done stuff, and they're in there training. So, don't just think because you took some classes or you own a Ruger or something that, you're ready to take on the world. But whereas, like I said, I think if you own a gun, you should take some sort of professional training at least annually, more if you can do it, but at least annually. Same with the medical stuff. If you can get Stop the Bleed class for free and then follow it up with some better training, you'll never regret it. You'll never say, oh God, I wish I didn't know how to do that,
Yeah. Hey, Sean, do you mind if we take a second just to acknowledge some folks in the crowd?
Sure.
You drew some folks in.
Oh,
number one, either Mike or Jess from Riker Nylon Gear are in the feed, so they're in there singing your praises, and we've got Andrew from Combat Art Training in the house. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Max from Max's Path, he says he can't calculate how much money he has spent at your on your website and such. He lives in Pennsylvania. We've got some of our folks that have trained with us here at Prepared Patriot, and a lot of other folks that we know through Tactical Response. So thanks, guys, and make sure you smash that like button and share this thing out so everybody can learn from Sean's wisdom. And
also there was a question that was posed for Sean. He wants to know do you have any of the pre-lubed MPAs in any other size than 28?
Yes, we stock 30s and 28s are the two biggies. We sell complete sets in the smaller pediatric sizes as well as the adult sizes. And I think the adult one goes, I want to say it's like 18 or 20 up to I think 32. But
I think that he was saying that the 28 was too big and he's looking for a smaller one for a family member.
Yeah. Well, that's the pediatric set I think the biggest one in there I think is like an 18 or 20, something like that. But we normally have 22s or 24s in stock. Usually, like I said, we host a lot of training, and well, women are generally smarter than men. So a lot of those classes, we get women at them. A lot of the families that do purchases, it's usually the wife is the one that is kind of in charge of that. You know, the husbands are smart enough to know it's like, well, I'm good at, killing stuff, but she's actually the one that vets the big ticket decisions and stuff. And so we stock the smaller size gloves, especially like if you're doing any kind of like IVs or anything like that, where you need the dexterity, having properly sized gloves is kind of a big deal. So we do stock
Absolutely.
the smaller sizes. Same on the airways. If it's not listed, anything that's not listed on the website, you just send us an email. I have a ton of stuff back there that if we don't have it, we can usually have it in usually a week, worst case.
So Max said then he will be on the website. And you just heard what he said, Max. If you can't find what you're looking for, email him.
And I know my website could use some love. It's on my list of things to do to get it a little bit more modernized and a little bit easier to use.
It's way better if you look at it from a computer, or it's not quite mobile friendly yet, but like I said, it's not just check it out on the computer if you're looking for stuff.
And then also you had mentioned, Sean, that you host classes. I would love for you if you have anything coming up that you want to plug. I'd love for you to get that out there, because we always highly recommend that people get training and whatever, just like what you're saying. Take it. It doesn't have to be with us. Like, go take a training class anywhere. So if you got some classes that are coming up out there that you want to plug, man, we'd love to hear about what you got going on.
We run a free Stop the Bleed class second Saturday every month, 9 to 11. We use independence training to do those classes. I'm fairly knowledgeable, but I'm not always the most articulate fella. I seem to be doing okay tonight, but I just don't feel comfortable doing training, kind of that stay in your lane thing. So we bring in somebody that's all they do is training. And so, I mean, there's that class, and then we've hosted Tamarisk. He's a paramedic guy out here in Arizona. We've hosted his classes. As I said, independence training. They do a couple different classes that we do here at the store. And I've had a couple other people that have been interested, but it's hard filling seats. And which really kills me, like the Stop the Bleed class, it's free. It's a free class, and it's actually a good class. I mean, it's one of the few things to come out of the Obama administration that I am very happy with. And
hey, Sean, can I pause you for just 1 second, brother? Can you check your audio and see if your mic's come unplugged or anything? We're getting comments saying that your sound's messed up, and it sounds like you're in a tunnel.
Could be that I'm just using my phone. I'm not actually using a mic.
It's better now.
All right.
I don't know. It did.
Yeah, it's
go-
like somebody's pumping helium into your room there for a little bit.
Yeah.
So, but
So-
you're
Hopefully-
dead on that. We find the same thing. The medical classes, especially when we first started, seem to be the lowest attended, but also the most important. You know.
So
Well, you know, so, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say that, one of the ways that I get people to come train the medical side of things is we actually paired a medical class with a low light class, and that's actually coming up. Matt, you want to give them the date on that?
yes, November 20th.
So November 20th, we do a low light medical combo class. They come for the low light, but they needed the medical, so to speak. You know what I mean?
People
So-
like Dylan Clifford, you're in the house tonight. John Patton would be a good candidate for medical low light if he's still with us. So Ariel, make sure you share that with him. And then everybody else seems to be kind of from out of town, but hey, you guys are welcome to come in if it's been a hot minute since you have done anything medical or anything low light. Hit us up.
But
Yeah,
that being said, we definitely are huge advocates for medical training. But it is that way that a lot of people I find that there's two different wheelhouses, right? You have the one wheelhouse of people who work in the medical profession that think they don't need training, or it's just like the gun world, right? Getting a police officer to come to training is almost impossible, even though they're the ones that need it the most. They won't come. I know, I was one of them. But it is one of those things where, like, getting the right people in there. I'll give you a for instance from class. I actually called out a doctor one time who was in my classes. I was like, he's like, well, I know what I'm doing, and I was like, yeah, but you could carry some of this equipment, and you're the most knowledgeable on how to use it, but instead you have nothing on you. And it kind of goes back to that conversation we were having earlier about, like, yes, you can improvise stuff. Yes, the knowledge is the most important, but my God, how much time would you save not having to improvise a tourniquet? And also it's like you said a minute ago, a lot of people don't think about the one-handed issue, right? Like, what if you're trying to do this on yourself and you're semi-conscious, or you are down an arm that's not working very well? All those things contribute to your being able to do this correctly.
Well, one of the reasons I like selling, when we started this, we were pretty much exclusively selling military grade products. And the thing I like about that is a lot of your commercial products, they're not made for people. They're made for the medical profession. And the lowest common denominator in the medical community is the EMT. Well, I mean, I guess you could maybe argue that it's like a nurse's assistant or something like that. The candy stripers, if that's even still a thing anymore. But your EMT and the frontline stuff, and even somebody who went through like a diploma mill, still generally has like 6 months of training. That's a lot of training. I mean, they have learned Latin phrases and why things do different things, whereas military medicine is broke down so that you can teach somebody to do something fairly advanced. Problem is, I like to say, like, military medicine is like kind of like teaching a bear to ride a bike. The bear's on the bike, and he doesn't know why he's on the bike. He doesn't know how the bike is staying up. He just knows that if he does it, he gets a treat. And the military medicine is kind of like, well, I don't know. Sergeant said I do this, and the red water stops coming out. And so military products are made for terrified 19-year-olds that maybe had a day or two of training. That's what they're made for. And also, the kid might be working on himself. And so the Israeli bandage or the ETD or the H bandage are made for you to apply to yourself. The cat tourniquet, the soft T, the TMT tourniquet, they're made to put onto yourself. All these products have cartoon instructions on them, which is good for several reasons. One, if somebody comes along and finds you and they're a German tourist or something and they don't read English, they can still figure out how to use the product. And also, if you bleed enough, your brain loses the ability to take those letters and turn them into pictures in your head. And so, I'd like to think I have a fair amount of training. and I've done a lot of this stuff, but I've never done it to anybody I actually cared about. And, you know, God forbid something were to happen to one of my kids, I might probably be I could be a mess, you know, and having that little pictogram instruction to look at to kind of jumpstart me, you know, is potentially a big deal. And, you know, that's why I like those types of products, because what people don't understand when they're buying these kits, it's like I said, when I bought all those weird disaster kits and stuff, you're buying this stuff for potentially the worst day of your life, where, and if it's something where you're injured, where you're not necessarily working at full capacity. I'm a fairly good driver, but if you take a pair of snips and cut off my little finger, my driving is probably going to go right into the toilet. I mean, not that like that's a life-threatening thing or anything, but you know, all of a sudden you add in that stress. It's like the training where, especially with some of the law enforcement training, where if you don't have that stress inoculation in there, you know, it's easy to stand on the square range and shoot the paper target, you know. But it's just having that ability that when, and also when you, like I said, when you select these products, to understand that you're not necessarily, things aren't going well. I mean, especially like with tourniquets. If you're having a bad enough day that you need to put a tourniquet on yourself, your train is clean off the tracks, you know. So you want to make sure that you've put a little bit of time. Hopefully you've gotten some training, but if you haven't, that you buy products that are intuitive in their use and that you can try to apply to yourself with one hand. So, I mean, that's one of the things that's why it's very important to me that the stuff that we sell, but, you know, like I said, our cheapest kit I originally made to give away to people I care about, you know, and with all the products, I vet them. If somebody tells me, hey, those don't work, Asherman chest seals, we don't sell them. They're one of the first chest seals on the market, but the guys from Independence, they did a Tough Mudder, and all the different guys took a different chest seal, they put them on and they ran and did the thing. And at every stop, they would do the thing like, well, one, is it still on me? And, you know, two, they would do the little peel off as if you were burping it, put it back. And the Asherman, they don't even know where it fell off. It just, at some point, it just wasn't there anymore. And I mean, it's little stuff like that, you know, kind of separates the products that are, you know, you say what you want about the whole like government issue and stuff like that. The one thing that the US government doesn't seem to go cheap on is the medical stuff. If it's got a national stock number, it's generally fairly decent. And like I said, all the medical stuff, the target audience is a terrified 19-year-old with virtually no training. So again, you know, that's why I like those products. And even the civilian products I make or I sell are made by the companies that they cut their teeth in the military market. And in a lot of cases, it's the same damn product, just in a white wrapper instead of a green one. So,
Yep.
And we also see, go ahead, Matt. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, a while back, John Kranz said, medical isn't high speed, cool guy stuff until you need it.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
I mean, you guys have brought up Jaeger. He was really one of the first guys to push this stuff. I actually, the first tactical response class I took, Jaeger was in Iraq. I took like 3 or 4 classes before I actually took a class with Jaeger. And then when I took one with Jaeger, it was kind of anticlimactic. I was expecting like, you know, rah, you know, it was just a regular dude. It was a good class, but the other classes were just as good. But there was the definite shift in the company in the classes before Iraq and then the classes after Iraq. He started putting, kind of like you said with your low light class, it's a low light class, and oh, surprise, here's medical. He did a little, like, I think it was like a half hour, 45-minute in all of his, like the pistol and carbine classes, where they did a quick and dirty, you know, apply pressure, recovery position. You know, they were selling a kit, and at the time H&H sold a couple kits, and he was like, hey man, if you just get like a quart Ziploc bag and you put an ace bandage and a washcloth and, you know, some stuff in there, just so you've got something, you know, and some rolls of gauze, have something. If you don't have some sort of medical something to deal with a major bleed, you're wrong, you know. And at the time, you know, the VOC, I don't think James actually made the VOC with any kind of idea of making money. I think he did it because he had seen good men bleed out. I mean, and it was one of the things that really stuck with me and really kind of made me start the whole tactical medic thing. I know you guys have met James, I'm assuming.
Correct? Yeah. James is basically like the mentor to our company. He is a cherished friend.
He's kind of a hard ass. And I've seen him at a SHOT Show party. Somebody startled him and he like judo threw that guy over his shoulder and was ready to just scrap right there. I mean, that was pretty impressive. But he's a tough dude, right? And I remember him just get really serious and say one of the worst things in the world is watching a good man bleed out and not knowing what to do. And that really stuck with me. And like I said, we were hosting a lot of training stuff where, somebody could get really hurt. I mean, badly injured. And, and that's what kind of got us into this. And like I said, the VOC was one of the first pre-made kits that was really pushed on the market. And
so I have to ask, I'm assuming at some point during all that training and you guys hanging out and doing stuff together, that you and James collabed on that VOC and started creating it, and now he sells it on his channel, right? Or he sells it at his store.
The VOC was all his thing. We sell a VOC. I got basically a licensing agreement with him, and he won't take any money from me. I've tried to pay him, and he won't do it. So I just, usually once a year, I'll pack up a big box full of stuff and just send it to him. And it's like, well, fuck you got to take it now. So sorry.
No, you're fine. You're not. But you're with your people. You're okay.
Yeah, and he like I said, I don't think he cares about if he makes any money on it. It's really, he believes in this because unfortunately he had to live it, and
it's truly a service to his people. That's what it is, and it's kind of the way we see it as well. Like we pass out tourniquets like candy, man. And the way we see it is maybe one of these days, those people saved my life.
Yeah. Well, it's like,
it's an investment in that person.
I hook up a lot of law enforcement with stuff because, my dumb ass might be the one laying there bleeding that they're going to have to, patch up. So, it behooves me to have, especially the first responders in my community, be well equipped. Because it very well might be my house that they're, dragging me out of or whatever. But yeah, James was really, I know he catches a lot of shit from people and he can be a little, doesn't have
abrasive.
Much filter. Yeah. But when you know the guy, I mean,
he has a quote that I love. He says, "Without friction, there is no fire."
Yeah. I mean,
I think that's right on the point for him. Yeah.
He's legitimately a really good dude. And like I said, I mean, all this medical stuff, he's really the one that made it, things on two different levels. This is something that I tell people. And in my business, I've seen, you know something intellectually, and then you know something emotionally. Nobody will tell you fire extinguishers are stupid. Nobody will tell you that they're a dumb idea and, whatever. But you can ask that same person, do you have one? No, I'm very careful. I mean, I hear that all the time. Some of the different, like the smaller training guys, I'll see them at shows or whatever. And I'll say, hey, I'll hook you up with a range kit. I'll give you, a discount, so you got it. It's like, oh, yeah, that's a great idea. Oh, but we're real careful. It's like, dude, you could be
don't
careful.
Give a shit how careful you are.
But one of your
one day going to happen
in the ass, trying to holster his gun. I mean, it is what it is. And, you're either ready to deal with that or you're not, and if you're taking these people's money and going into it that they don't know what they're doing, that's why they're there. I mean, but
it tells you a lot about that instructor without them. It's like, tell me that you don't care without telling me you don't care. That's kind of what they did.
Like the big watershed thing for us. Stop the Bleed was actually, I think it was 2014, I think, is when it first got put out. nobody knew about it and nobody cared. It didn't get any traction. And, part of that was in the very beginning, there was a little bit of, the government was running it and it was too hard to deal with and stuff. But then the dudes that are currently doing it took it over. But it was the Vegas shooting at that concert. That was the one that really turned it from, they knew medical was important intellectually. Now they were on board emotionally, because especially in the first responder community, because apparently firemen, EMTs, and cops like country music, because around here, every department within an 8-hour circle of Vegas had somebody at that show or knew somebody at that show. And so now all of a sudden, we used to get every it seems like every PD's got that one dude who's a big time gun nerd, one guy's a big time armor nerd, and you get like the guy's like a medical nerd. Usually it's a vet, somebody who's actually been there and saw dudes bleeding. It's all about, IFAKs and stuff. And so they would send out a request for quote to shut that guy up, And so, we were quoting departments, and it was almost like, well, it's that time of year, we're going to get from whoever PD is going to send a thing for, 6 IFAKs, and we're going to quote it, and they're not going to buy them, and, whatever. It's just how it is. Well, all of a sudden, they started buying. And these things are about perfect for law enforcement. The Riker AFAKs. And
so we just did a class where we gave away 10 slots, 10 to our local PD, where we gave away a fully furnished Riker nylon gear, ankle med kit with all the trimmings and accoutrement.
Yeah.
We had 7 guys show up to the free class.
That's a pretty good turnout.
That's not bad for cops.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it 7 or 6? I'm sorry. It was actually 6, wasn't it?
Yeah, one
only
halfway
6.
through.
Yeah. So it is sad, but I am glad to hear that they're actually getting their shit together. I do have one or two more. I do have 1 or 2 more things to point out to you here, or ask you a question about. Ariel joined the conversation late, and she said, "I'm sorry that I come in late, but she wanted to know, do you have any kits that are geared toward females in any way?" And with me, my answer would be that you bleed the same way they bleed, so that any kit is for females, unless you're talking to like pink bags or something. I don't understand what you're wanting there, Ariel.
Well, I think where she's at, we used to, H&H used to do a pediatric kit. We used to stock those, and they kind of stopped doing them. When it comes to, you'd mentioned, somebody asked earlier about airways, the smaller airways. I think if she's thinking like that, if basically if somebody, they're ordering and they tell us, hey, I would like the kit to have small gloves or medium gloves, we can do that. Unless it's, like a NAR kit or something that we don't, even then we could cut it open and swap out the gloves. But as far as a female kit, yeah, as far as what we're dealing with, men, women, children, dogs, cats, it's all kind of the same stuff. Direct pressure, pack the wound, that kind of thing. But where more of smaller stature, where, I think the average woman in America is what, 5'6", 5'8", something like that.
Well, the one that's asking your question is about 4'11".
Well,
maybe.
Yeah,
good day.
that would be kind of a big deal for her. A 28 French NPA on her would be way too big. She's probably looking at like a 20 or a 22. Same with gloves. I imagine, unless she's got some weird Sasquatch hands or something, she's going to want smaller gloves or something like that. So in that regard, if somebody puts in that request with the order, we can generally meet it.
There goes your audio again, Sean.
Let's see is that better? No.
Not yet. Still sucking on helium.
So while Sean's figuring out his audio, I'm going to call Larry Jenkins out. You're killing me, dog. You're killing me.
How's that any better?
Automatic dragon hide
Yes,
concealment.
that's good,
if
man.
You are if you're in dire need for medical, brother, you let us know. You need to get out to class for sure. You're like high priority for us. Riker Nylon Gear also says Tactical Medic is a dealer, so good to give him business. Absolutely. We always like to send people to good folks that we know in the industry that we know will take care of them, that have a level of integrity that means something. And I can tell just from the interview that we've done with you tonight, Sean, that you give a shit. You know what I mean? Like, you give a shit about the people that you're taking care of. And that's exactly who I want to send business to. Same thing with Riker Nylon Gear guys. Like, they make the best ankle first aid kit. Same thing with like Combat Arts Training. Andrew, that dude is on point. He's our people. If you're in Florida, you need to go train with that guy. I know that he's offering a Stop the Bleed class and stuff like that now. Also, another comment that I read earlier, Max will have to post it again if you read it there. He also mentioned something that I wanted to talk to you about that some people might be interested in, is some kind of $50 or I can't remember the amount, but it's some kind of specialty box.
The fun box or something like that.
Oh,
Mystery box. $50 mystery
box. Yeah.
You want to tell him what that is, Sean? Because Max raves highly about it.
It's a bag about yay big with a bunch of just random stuff in it. We had a bunch of, I think the ones currently, they got like expired hemostatic agents in it, lots of gauze, some Izzies. We had Sam splints in them. It was just a bunch of weird random. A lot of it was expired or good stuff for training. I think we even had some of the 100 milliliter saline bags in them with an admin set and a couple catheters. I think
they're great for training.
Yeah, it was like 200 and something bucks if it was all full retail. And because we can basically stuff that bag of stuff into, I think it's like an A box or something like that, and priority mail it pretty much anywhere in the US or its protectorates. And the $50 covers shipping and the bag of stuff. I think I got like 4 or 5 of them built up right now. It just kind of depends on what I've got a ton of. Oh, I think there's King Airways in them. It's kind of more of an advanced, nasty airway, but that are just stupid expensive. But
that being said, if you guys have any more, can you believe it's been an hour, Sean, already? That fast, man. So sorry that we've kept you for so long already. But if you guys have any last minute questions for Sean, we're going to start wrapping this one up tonight. It's been fantastic. Sean has been a wonderful guest to have on. We highly recommend the Tactical Medic. If you guys are looking for any kind of big bag for like a family bag or like a platoon bag or something of that nature, or even down all the way to an individual IFAC, anything that you could possibly want, even the VOC, I think you can get those through the Tactical Medic. Anything that you may need, you can get through his website, thetacticalmedic.com. Fantastic dude, fantastic gear, and a great guy to go train with if you're in that area. So we appreciate you so much, Sean. I think that's pretty much all the questions we had. Larry needs to talk to us after this is all said and done. We need to get him signed up for a med low light class or something, because he sounds grossly. He's a local guy who makes holsters in the area and also is a cop and is grossly underprepared in the medical section, it sounds like. So we need to get you hooked up, Larry.
The one, somebody especially on a budget, and it's also good with Christmas coming up. We had the same company that makes the Israeli bandage for the military. They had their first aid line. It was called the Wound Stop. And we had them do a private label run for us. It's basically the 4-inch Israeli bandage. It's the white packaging instead of the green. And I think they're retailing at like $5, and we've got some volume discounts on them and stuff. For $5, you really can't go wrong. And if you just that one bandage is such a leg up for anybody that is out hiking or doing anything like that. Because what's nice with it, you can also use it as just a compression wrap if you blow out your ankle or your knee or something. And it's got the closure bar and everything, the clip, so it's easy to put on yourself with one hand. And we've got a bajillion of them. So a good stocking stuffer for anybody who's into this kind of stuff, and relatively cheap.
Hey, Sean, can I ask
Awesome.
you a question real quick?
Sure.
In preparation for this live stream, I was snooping around a website and I came across a video. We got hooked up through our medical guy with the X stats, but I noticed that you had some of the X gauze. You had
I
a video
finally
on
got rid
X
of it.
gauze.
It's a
Okay.
really cool idea, but when it first came out, I was one of the first ones to buy into it. Kind of regret doing it. I wound up selling my inventory at cost to get it gone. It's strictly mechanical wound packing, just like as if you used, just a roll of Curlex for $2. Trying to get those little pellets into the hole, you really got to beat that plunger in there. And the last one I saw, it was about as big around as a quarter. And, geez, it's a good idea, but it's like $50. And like I said, I think you could probably, most of my customers, I think, are just as well served with a $2 roll of Curlex.
Gotcha.
Or a hemostatic gauze, which about that same price level. I don't know anybody who has used, and I'm not trying to dig on the product or anything. I just don't know anybody personally that has used XStat in the field for real. I know a lot of people that have used Celox or Quick Clot in the field for real. And
well, I know for us, you can't. I don't know if you have the same problem in your state or not, but for us, you can't even get an XStat without having credentials here anymore.
I haven't tried. I was just kind of so unimpressed with how it just didn't sell. And like I said, the fact that you really got to beat that plunger in to get that down in the hole. I think most people are going to wind up taking those little sprinkles and pushing them in with their finger, just like you would do with a roll of gauze. It's a cool idea. And if you've got money to burn, but I think for a lot of my customers, I talk people out of Quick Clot sometimes because it's $45. And unless you are doing something high risk, like law enforcement customers and stuff like that, where your chances of getting shot are a little higher, by all means, spend the money because of what you're doing. Or if you're a hemophiliac or something like that. We've got a smaller dose of the Quick Clot, part of their EMS line. It's an 8x8 that's folded in half twice, and so they call it a 4x4. And it's got the X-ray blue thread in it and everything. There's other products that are well proven for the same money or quite a bit less. So,
Gotcha.
I could be totally wrong. And just like I said, I'm not a working medic, so I might be talking out my ass on that. But I was very disappointed. Also, the fact that the people who sell the XStat gauze weren't using it in their own kits. I don't do with that what you will.
Interesting.
But
Gotcha.
to me, it was kind of like, great idea. I don't know. I most of my customers are more, I don't know,
basic.
So how about this? Final thoughts from Sean to the Tactical Medic before we go. The bare minimum you recommend for people to have on their person, in your opinion?
Bare minimum?
Yep.
You can do an awful lot, but again, if you've got training, the old just triangular bandage and a roll of Curlex, you can do an awful lot with. But ideally, I'd say all of our kits are kind of based around the same formula of tourniquet, pressure bandage, packing gauze, gloves, tape. And for tape, we sell little rolls of duct tape, but like when I was in the Army, we would take a cheap pen and just roll, 10, 20 feet of, we had duct tape wrapped around everything. Our dog tags all had 3 or 4 foot of duct tape around them. All of our pens had duct tape around them. I mean, nobody has ever uttered the phrase, I wish I didn't have all this duct tape. It just doesn't exist. Same with gauze. I mean, gauze is just so cheap and you'll never regret having it. You know, nobody ever says they got too much water in the desert, and nobody's ever said they had too much ammo. And gauze is kind of the same way.
Awesome. Guys, we appreciate Sean being on with us tonight. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe to the channel, share it out so they can get this information out as far and wide as possible so people understand how important medical is and where to buy the good stuff at. Sean, guys, we appreciate you being out tonight.
No problem.
As always, we'll be back out doing live stream next Thursday. As always, 8:30. Hopefully before too much longer, we'll have the new studio up and running, as well as everybody being a little closer. Might be some more live in-person stuff minus the Zoom, which is, we always like the Zoom option because we get to see guys from like the tactical medic here who's in Arizona versus, it's always just being us. But we appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much. And if you would like to train with us in North Carolina, check out preparepatriotnc.com, hit our schedule, and you can see what medical classes are coming up, as well as firearms and preparedness. And as always, if you guys are alumnus, we're doing the Bug Out Camp Out December 4th. So till next time, guys, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. Carry smart, and, carry safe, and be prepared.
Yep. Don't forget to check out Sean, the Tactical Medic, at thetacticalmedic.com. And tune in next week, guys. We actually have a class giveaway in the works. So it's going to be a Veterans Day themed class giveaway. And so for you guys that lasted all the way to the end, that's privileged knowledge. So we thank Sean for his attendance. Jerry, Patrick, thank you guys for hanging in with us. And we'll catch you guys next week.